We also know that he started the killings in Diyarbekir before there was actually a deportation order for the Armenians issued for that province. I think many of you know that the deportation orders for Armenians did not come as a universal, but were piecemeal, province by province. So the one that came at the end of May was for the provinces that were closest to the front line. Erzurum, Sivas, places like that. Diyarbekir was not on that list at all because it was far from the front. But Reshid had killing going on from April, at least. It began with Assyrian villages like Karabesh, just outside Diyarbekir. Then all of the Christian notables of Diyarbekir were arrested, about 1,200 in the first weeks of May. And these were then sent away on Keleks, these inflatable rafts along the Tigris River, and were murdered a bit further on down. We actually have found the memoirs of a Kurdish tribe who participated in the killing and how they had negotiated with the valley about how to divide up the loot. And I have a bit in there as well. So something very strange was going on in Diyarbekir.
How much awareness was there in Van, for example, of what had been going on just a month or two before to the east?
Van realized that something bad had happened when Jadid Bey, their valley, came back in March 1915. He had been the leader of one of the occupation armies in Iran. And he was the one who was actually the commander responsible for the massacre in Haftavan. And he had this famous battalion that he called the Butcher Battalion. And we have two people who give witness to that he called a group of notables together and said that I have just made a clean sweep with the Armenians and Assyrians in Iran, and I would like to do the same in Van. Now, the one is Johannes Lepsius, and the other is a Chaldean priest by the name of Said. So there was a realization. There were also letters being sent back and forth.
George?
You mentioned earlier in your talk that you're one of the few persons that have access to the archives. I was wondering how you accomplished this. And after writing your book, do you still have access to the archives? And also, is there much sanitizing going on at the archives, and especially with the European Union? Is there any encouragement to open up the archives?
Okay. Well, I think the European Union negotiations were one of the reasons why I was given permission to access to the archive, because since the government was involved in this scandal at the conference, pressure was put on them. You say that the archive is open, said one of the parliamentarians in the debate. Show us that it is true. And after about a year, I did get first a number of copies of archive materials that I had requested. And then a little bit later, when I had requested more, I got a letter from Ankara, from the director of archives, saying that I was very welcome. And then I got a lot of flack in Turkish newspapers, so I decided that I would go there. And I was very scared but happily the people in the archives are seemingly professional archivists and historians, and would even Taner Aksham, when he was there during the summer, said that the director came with him into the reading room and said, "This is my friend Taner, help him with everything that he wants." So we have the feeling that the ice is broken here. The problem is that they can only deliver what is catalogued. Now, when I was there were the things that were catalogued were the letters and telegrams that were sent from the government in Istanbul to the provinces. What I didn't get was from the provinces back to Istanbul saying, "Well, we've completed your order, what do you want us to do more?" Or the various lists of the number of people sent away, or the list of names and the seized property, because we can see that Talat is always asking, how many Armenians are left? How many of this and that and the other are left? Because he was interested in that only 5 to 10% of any religious non-Muslim group was left in a certain place. And he sort of kept statistics on this, we know, because his family even has a notebook about that. Now this archive opened, the one with the provincial replies, in the summer. And I haven't been there yet, but I have to go back. But my friend Taner, who was there, says that you can see that somewhere along the line material has disappeared, because they were very bureaucratic, and they numbered everything that came in a certain order. And the archive has a different number system that is very confusing. But when you sit down and look at it, some things that are numbered are not there. But even the stuff that is there is very, very damaging to anyone who wants to contend that there was no genocide.
Mr. Maransi?
Have you had any reaction from the Turkish historians to your book?
It's being translated into Turkish at the moment and Rashid Sarakulu's press is going to publish it. I would imagine when they read it that it will be dismissed.
Even though it's their own material?
Yes, of course. It would be very difficult for them to move from their positions, and I do have such things that you can turn them around. Now I talk about this battle in Dilman. Now a Turkish historian who is evil-minded can turn that around. Aha, see, there is an Armenian and an Assyrian revolt.